we are going to install an Athena 300 kit on this 25 YZ250FX. The cylinder is a big difference. You can obviously see the big difference in the cylinder. YZ250FX, no more. Now we're going to get ready to assemble it, and we will show you the finished product. This is a 25 YZ250FX. The guy loves the bike. You know, he loves the 250Fs because they're real nimble. You can throw them around a lot easier than a 450. They don't have all the rotating masses of 450, but he wants a little bit more grunt and a little bit more power. So we are going to install an Athena 300 kit on this 25 YZ250FX. I'm going to show you the differences between the two kits. This is the stock cylinder, stock piston. Here's the 300 kit Athena piston. You can definitely see the difference, the size difference. This is a lot bigger. Now the biggest difference is the cylinder. The cylinder is a big difference. You can obviously see the big difference in the cylinder. And another thing Athena did that's really cool is, being that this is so much bigger and it thins out the sleeve and everything quite a bit, they made much bigger, you can see the much bigger water jackets in the cylinder to hold more water to keep this thing cool. That was a very smart idea. It's a lot better than just boring and sleeving the stock one, because you could have overheating problems, where this one is going to be plenty cool with these bigger, way bigger water jackets. Okay, we're getting ready to put our big bore cylinder kit on. First we need to put the rings on. The one thing I do with the oil ring, I was taught this by a famous engine builder years ago, is you always want the oil ring where it meets to look like a W. And you put the oil ring in. And the two oil ring scraper holders, whatever you want to call them. And you always want to put all the openings of the rings in different spots. I put the oil ring in the center, that one over here, and this one's going to go over here. Okay, on the top ring, it's very important to look for marks. The top ring will always have a letter or a mark. See the mark right there? Those two T's, that goes up. Okay, we're getting ready to put the cylinder, the big bore cylinder and piston on. I do things a little differently. I like to get my wrist pin ready. My base gasket's already on. Everything's ready. I made sure on the Yamahas, you got to make sure the intake is in the back and the exhaust is the other way around. Intake's in the front, exhaust is in the back. You can tell by the size of the valves and the way it's pointed. So this is the exhaust, this is the intake, and that's how it's going to go on the bike. I like to put my rings and the piston in everything in here. It makes it easier because it's so hard when the piston's on there to fight the rings and the cylinder. So this way is a little bit easier, at least for me. And I know a lot of people that I've taught this do it this way, because you're just going to set it on here, push the pin through. And now we got to put the clip in. Sometimes that's tricky, so I just push it up in there in the corner, kind of hold it with my finger. I like to use a valve core tool to put it on the ring on it. And then I just go around, I just push it in and pop it in. Okay, it popped in, then I kind of go around, make sure it's in. And I actually am going to go get my cell phone so I can look at the magnifier and make sure it feels like it's in all the way. I'm going to make sure it's in all the way. Okay, now that we got the circlips in, made sure magnifying glass, made sure they were all in the thing. I like to push on them either way, make sure they don't pop out. They're all good. We push the cylinder all the way down, and this is, I look at it, make sure, okay, intake on the Yamaha's in front, exhaust, little ones, exhaust is in the back, because I have seen pistons put on backwards quite often. So we're good. Now we're just gonna get ready to put the head on. Okay, we're getting ready to install the valves. So we're setting the motor, as you can see, through the hole on top dead center, where that thing lines up right there. And I know the piston is at the top because I saw it when I put it together. So the piston's at the top, that's lined up. Now we're going to set the cams in. Okay, now we're going to put the cam in. When we put it in, the lobes on the Yamaha, this is the intake in the front. The lobes have to be facing this way. They're going to be facing towards each other. That dot right there has to line up with this surface right here. Okay, now with the intake cam in, I'm just pushing it over to take the slack out of the chain. You can see the dot is lined up with the case. Now we're going to put the exhaust cam in, doing the same thing. Okay, we got both cams in. They're just sitting in there. The cam journals aren't in yet. I'm pushing it over like it would be with the tensioner in. The intake dot is lined up perfectly. The exhaust dot is lined up perfectly. And the bottom dot is lined up perfectly. So we're good to go. So we're going to bolt the cam journals in, torque everything, and we're going to check it again before we finish it up. And now we're putting the cam journals on. First the exhaust. It's very important to make sure these cam locks are in place in the bearing. They go right in the groove in the top of the bearing, just like that. Now we're going to put the intake cam journal on. Got to make sure that lock goes right in the groove, and you just push them on. Now we're going to retract the timing chain tensioner. We're going to take a thin screwdriver, you stick it in the end, and you turn it, and you'll see the plunger retract. When it gets all the way in, just give it a little hard twist. It'll lock. And it should stay like that. Now we're going to put it in the bike. Make sure you got the gasket in place. You're going to screw the two screws in, and then we're going to torque them to the spec. And then after that's done, we're going to get a screwdriver in the end and pop it so it comes out and tightens the timing chain. Now we're going to go through and check and make sure everything's right. Going to go down and make sure the flywheel's on top dead center. Make sure the groove and the little white line are lined up, which they are. We're going to go up on top. We're going to look at the intake cam. It's lined up perfectly with the head. And the exhaust cam, the dot's lined up perfectly with the head. We're good to go. Our final transition to from the 250 to the 300 on our project bike we're doing. YZ250FX, no more. From a YZ250FX to a YZ300FX.